Hello, everybody. I'm Patti Patane. Meet the power of intelligent conversation. You run across something and you say, I thought of that. Well, somebody else already had done it, either published it, either built it, whatever. It's called inventing. And I wonder if there's a difference between inventing a thing and thinking of something. There's a little difference, and we're going to find out what that difference is today. I was totally unaware until I met Dr. Pamela Bird that there was such a thing as a Doctor of Business Administration. You hear all about, MBAs from Harvard and MBAs from the school of whatever, but a doctorate in business. I didn't even know those existed. And of course, Dr. Bird, one of two Dr. Birds, by the way, which I will get to in a moment, we are here to help you today in two ways. First of all, if you have an idea, and a lot of people have a lot of ideas, but they haven't got a clue how to get them off the ground. Don't have a clue. And then when somebody comes to them and says, well, gee, you have a good idea, you give me 95% and keep 5%, and I'll put that in the market for you. And they say, what, you're going to take 95%? No, you have to get a grip, ladies and gentlemen. You have no idea what it takes to get something to market. No concept. Trust me, 5% is a good deal. Look at this, Inventing for Dummies. Pamela wrote it. Pamela Riddle Bird, Ph.D., founder and CEO of Innovative Product Technologies. I don't want to get this wrong, so I'm going to read from it. It's called a commercialization expert. It's a big word, but it simply means what?
How to bring products to market, how to build industries, how to build businesses.
Makes sense to me. You have a board of advisors that is rather impressive. Mr. Lloyd Bell, he's a physicist, former advisor to Reynolds Aluminum. Kenneth Parker, Parker Pens. Ed Shad, correct?
Yes.
Shad. Built a company from Zip, sold it to McGraw-Hill. Here's a good one. We owe a lot to this man, Dr. Robert Rines. He invented sonar. Jeez. And none other than Dr. Forrest Bird. He invented the medical respirator ventilator. A whole bunch of us are alive today, thanks to Dr. Forrest Bird. And many, many, many other inventors. We don't pay a lot of attention to inventors. I didn't even know there was an Inventors Hall of Fame. We should know more about the Inventors Hall of Fame than we do the basketball, baseball, football Hall of Fame. Believe me, we should know more about the inventors of our time. You have written over 70 publications, author of the book. You're a licensed building contractor, both commercial and residential construction, and you're a licensed pilot, in addition to being a commercialization expert.
That means I have a lot of fun and really work hard.
Yes, well, I understand that part, but you've also got to be pretty smart. Every time I mention to Pamela that I've read something about her or done something, she says, well, I'm not the brains in this family, Forrest is. Well, we'll even it out, because without people like Pam, a whole bunch of inventors would not have their product on the market today. It's a very complex, it requires a whole book, an entire book, a reference. Let's decide first and foremost what can and cannot be considered an invention, okay? Now, this is a little electric generator. It's a toy that came with a kit I bought for a television program. Now, it generates electricity. this is someone's idea, but is it patentable? Can you patent this thing? Can it be copied?
It can be patented if it has not been done previously. It has to meet the basic tests for patent law. It has to be non-obvious, and excuse me, it has to be non-obvious in view of prior art. No other products
No,
or
it can't
patents
be
out there
copied.
like it.
It can't be a copy of something that showed up before.
Correct. Non-obvious in view of prior art. Non-obvious in view to a layperson in the industry. But basically, yes, a product like that has the potential for patentability.
Okay, so we've got that. And how about this? This is just a little, that's a LED, right?
Absolutely. Could be
It's a
another patented product. Yes.
Okay, so that's an idea of a patent. Now this is a little different. Both Pam and I are pilots. She has a plane, I don't. We both have our pilot's license. And this is the 99's women's flying organizations founded, what, 50-some, 60 years ago?
A long
time ago.
Yes.
And this is considered their trademark, the 99 and the 9 and the 9.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what do you mean by it's trademarked, and that means that I couldn't take this and put it on something and sell it?
That's correct. A trademark is basically the name of the product, like IBM, Motorola, Coca-Cola. Those are all trademarks.
Not only the name, but the way it's written. In other words,
Yes,
the
as
Coca-Cola
well.
has a very specific...
For Coca-Cola, the name Coca-Cola is trademarked, and the way that it is written is trademarked as well. And you'll notice the little bitty R for registered, like on a can of Coca-Cola. If it's registered, it has a R. If it's not registered, it has a TM, which means intent to use.
Okay, we understand that. Now here is a laser light. It has patent pending. So basically, the person who invented this, created it, has a patent pending on it, which means if somebody comes along and tries to make another one, this man who invented this can challenge them to making another one.
Correct, but you can have several products in the patent pending stage at the same time, which makes it kind of tricky. But the words patent pending will ward off other manufacturers.
All right, here's an example. This is a little bitty baby camera. The first person to come out with these little bitty baby sport cameras was GoPro. But this isn't a GoPro. It feels like a GoPro, it works like a GoPro, but it's not a GoPro. It's less expensive, in my opinion, it works the same way. So I looked at, there's no patent thingy on this at all. Mm-hmm. How is it that this guy can come out and sell these everywhere and GoPro came first?
It depends when their patent was issued, what type of patent that GoPro has, how long their patent is good for, and if this other company was able to work around it or not. Or they might not have a patent, and at the same time GoPro could go after them for infringement.
Okay.
If they have a patent.
All right, here's another perfect example. I don't happen to have one because I don't own one. I own an Android. But Steve Jobs with Apple invented the tablet. As far as I can remember, they were the first to come out with this tablet form of computer. But now everybody's got a tablet. Didn't Mr. Jobs patent this thing so nobody else could do it?
It depends on how strong the patent is, if they could be worked around, and a lot of it is just marketing warfare.
Really? Describe marketing warfare for me.
Marketing warfare is maybe there's two products that are both in patent pending at the same time. Neither of them are going to know when the other competitor's patent will be issued. So it's basically the first to get it to market, the first company or person to grab any type of market share. It basically goes on manufacturing, marketing, distribution, pricing. The consumers, do they want to buy the product? So it becomes marketing warfare. Who can get it to market the first? Who can make the most money the first?
See this book? It's not easy. It simply is not easy. Or you wouldn't need a book like this, or you wouldn't need Pam Bird. Now, I'm not one to read the book. I'm one to hire you to tell me whether or not my product is a viable product. I'm not a detail person. Do you have a lot of people come to you with ideas that just are kind of in their infant stages that says, hey, I got an idea, what do you think?
Absolutely. I have many inventors that come in from all over the world. I have an idea, where do I go from here? Should I spend the money on a patent? Should I bring it to market? Will it make it in the market? What are the steps that I need to go through in order to put it in the marketplace? But in reality, I'll probably tell at least 75%, stay home, your firstborn's ugly, I'm doing you a favor, do not spend the family funds. You know, don't spend that money. It's more important for me to keep you from losing money than it is for me to make a dollar. And then of those 75%, you have 25% maybe that I'll work with for a limited amount of time more to look at the overall market feasibility of the product. What is the packaging? What is the manufacturing? Will people purchase the product? The age, race, sex, income level. What is their anticipation of where they would buy the product? All different types of business details. And then if there's not a market, X percentage are going to drop off. Don't spend the money unless that there's a market.
Now, someone comes to you, and I would like to be able to put the phone number of your company up so that they can call your company. And the phone number is here. And what department do they ask for when they call in and say, hey, I've got a great idea, and I'd like to know what Dr. Bird thinks or what your staff thinks? How do they do that?
Most of the time what they would do is they go to the website. First, it's www.independentinventor.com, and they can look at the website. They can look at, we have an evaluation process that we go through to look at the technical and market feasibility of the product.
That's pretty simple. Now, I'm going to go to some extremes here. Okay? This is, I consider this, I do. I don't know if anybody else does. I consider this to be a work of art. I made it. I do wood turning as a hobby, and this happens to be a piece that's threaded. Now, this is not patentable.
It can be, depending on if there's any others out there like it, the overall usage of the product.
It's just a thing I made with no intent. It just happened to...
Correct. Might not have intent. Or you can get possibly a design patent covering the exact appearance of the product. But on a design patent, you can change them, quote, uniquely under patent law and work around it. I would rather see it as a glorious form of art than a mass merchandise product. So with that one, I would say not mass merchandise, Patti. It's beautiful, beautiful piece of art. Art shops, high-end, something like that.
Okay.
Don't spend your money on the patent.
Forget it. Just you make it, somebody wants to buy it, or you want to give it away for an auction,
Correct.
which I normally do. I give it away to charity. Now, this is the other extreme, okay? Talk to me for a minute about Dr. Forrest Bird. Not only is he your husband, but this man, Dr. Bird, has saved, let me try and emphasize this as best I can, millions of lives. Not a few, not a sort of kind of, millions of lives worldwide for decades have been saved as a result of Dr. Forrest Bird, who holds not just one doctorate. Let me see if I can get this right. Dr. Bird has a doctorate in medicine. He's a medical doctor.
Yes.
He's a physicist.
Yes.
So he has a doctor in physics.
Correct.
A doctorate in
aviation.
Aviation, because he is one of the most incredible pilots that has ever lived. And the other one?
Biotechnology.
Biotechnology, and that is something to do with our health and our stuff.
All kinds of different issues under biotechnology.
Biotechnology. This is a respirator.
Right.
Describe to me why what Forrest Bird invented is so important to the human existence today. And the last one, 40 some years, 45 years. Why?
Well, first off, this is the Bird Mark 7. It was your first mass-produced ventilator in the world. Respirator and ventilator are basically the same product. He had come up with it to save people's lives. This product helped eliminate the use of the iron lung, which was a lot of people haven't seen an iron lung.
Right.
It's like 7 feet long. You lay down in it. It has a cover over it, and many people would live in the iron lung for years. Imagine like a round capsule similar to the size of a coffin.
It was breathing for you when you could not breathe for yourself.
Yes, and it had like built-in, kind of like a built-in pump that would go back and forth at the end. But many people didn't get out of the iron lungs.
Ever.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
the respirator and Dr. Bird, what has it allowed to happen that could never happen before in the field of saving our lives?
The respirator breathes for you. You can't do open heart surgeries. You can't do organ transplants. You'll have at least an 85% probability of being on a medical ventilator respirator during your lifetime. If there's any type of major surgeries, you will most likely need a respirator to breathe.
I was on one not too long ago when I had a little kidney incident, and they put me to sleep, and I guess something had to breathe for me other than myself at the time, so they put me on a respirator, and I can thank Dr. Bird for that.
Yes.
I'm probably alive today because of it.
He's a good man. He's a keeper.
Yeah, he's a keeper. So the respirator, of all the inventions we're going to talk about today, and we're just the tip of the iceberg, folks, just the very, very tip of the iceberg. I would put the respirator right up there with any invention ever in the history of mankind, because if people aren't living, breathing, no computers, I mean, there's none of this.
Right.
So this is big time major, and I had the privilege of meeting Dr. Forrest Bird for the very first time, having heard about him all of my life, because he started Bird, the Bird Corporation, here in Palm Springs, California, decades ago. And it's remarkable. Now, here's the opposite end of the scale. This is something that I have written, okay? This is an idea. It's an idea to build something for veterans and kids coming out of school that will make their lives, in my humble opinion, better as a result of the type of education and job training we will be able to afford them. When you create when you get an idea, I call it, I get these visions and ideas about how to solve a problem. This isn't trademarkable, this isn't patentable, this is an idea this is just a conceptual idea that I have to, after almost 8 years now and counting, I'm still working to get it to where it needs to be. But I had somebody tell me a long time ago, if this was the last idea you ever have, you're in trouble. So I never have concerned myself with somebody taking anything I am doing or have done or any program I've done and trying to duplicate it, because they've tried and they failed.
Well, they're probably not going to want to go to the same pain and misery that you're going to go through.
Well, it's really not pain. You know what? It's turned out to be an incredible, wonderful journey and lesson in focus. Here I am, here is the end result. I never lose sight of where I want to go. I just totally stay focused.
I understand that. What I'm coming at, I guess, is a different perspective, because people are so afraid that someone is going to steal their invention. They're going to steal their firstborn son. They don't want to do anything. They don't want to bring it to market. They're going to keep it in their safe deposit box. I remember years ago where this lady had come into my office and she had her product in a brown paper bag. And this is a true story. She was so concerned about anybody seeing her product if she took it out through the windows, etc. So we walked down the hall, we went into the restroom, and she showed it to me in the restroom.
Where there's no windows.
Correct. And I said, ma'am, you know, the best way to make sure your product is not stolen is go put it in a safe deposit box, and I promise you it will not go anywhere. No one is going to steal it. It will not go anywhere. It will not move.
The ultimate question, was it worth hiding?
It was not in that case. But Patti, as we've talked about, that I can easily put my arm around you and tell you your firstborn is ugly. Make you feel good about that, because I don't want you to spend the money. If it's not going to make money, don't do it.
Yeah, I have a few $100,000 into this little idea, but I also have partners now.
And you have a vision. And you have a vision.
Absolutely.
And it's a great project. It might not happen this year, next year, but hopefully it will happen.
Oh, it will.
It will
Yeah,
happen.
you
well, not all the
betcha.
buildings and stuff up. Maybe all the buildings are going to go up this year.
Not this year. We will hopefully.
So it might take a year for the buildings.
Yeah, at least from this point. And I expect it. I've learned some lessons not too recently, and that is throughout the whole process is that. Have you found the common denominator among the individuals like Forrest and the men and women who you mention
Absolutely.
in your book?
Absolutely.
What is the one common denominator?
I wouldn't say there's one. I would say that there's a group of common denominators for the characteristics of the inventors, because they have the same characteristics. If you talk to the inventors in the National Inventors Hall of Fame, or when I talk to some of the startup inventors, and I could feel the success, it might not be on that product. And so I might say, I don't think this product has merit. Here are the reasons why. Here are the potential problems. Here's the companies who you're going to go up against. However, I'll bet on people before I bet on a product anytime. Some of the common qualities are adventure, tenacity, being able to ask a stranger for money. Okay, think about Disney. I mean, I think Disney is just such an incredible entity. Disney World, Disneyland. But what about the person of Walt Disney? He got people to invest in swampland in Florida, to build an imagination land run by a mouse. Are you kidding me? What a great salesman. Okay, so inventors have to be able to ask total strangers for money and walk away from it if it doesn't work.
Or I read in your book, Inventing for Dummies, under 10 inventors to emulate. Sometimes I have to look words up. 10 inventors to admire and pattern yourself after, should you choose to do so. Let's go. The first person in your book of chapter 24 is Dr. Forrest Bird. Here's what you have to say. He started Bird Corporation, but he did something a little different than most people. He has no stockholders and he had no investors. He didn't ask anybody to help him create or bring to market his respirator. He did it all himself. And then he merged totally debt-free decades later with the 3M Corporation. How did he do it without anybody else's money? Because he was successful prior to the invention of the respirator?
No, Forrest worked like a dog. He would take airplanes directly out of the factories and bring them to a maximum. He would wear white gloves. It would be so hot that he could not touch the wheel and the steering mechanisms in the airplanes. It'd be so hot. He would wring that airplane out, come back and write the technical training manuals.
Okay.
He would get paid for that. He would work. He would do a few projects at a time. And fund those as he went along. And he had some great mentors. He had some very good mentors. He had Bill Lear.
Oh, we're going to get to him in a minute.
And some other different people. But he did have help. It wasn't necessarily the financial help. He looks
the
at
encouragement?
He had the encouragement, he had the people in the industry, not initially, for example, the doctors were the ones that would give him the hardest time. A machine breathe for you? Are you crazy? A machine is never going to breathe for you. That's what the doctors were telling him. And they would give him the patients that were going to go on to die. Many times it might be the movie stars' mothers, their family, their friends, some of the politicians, when nobody else wanted to work on that patient, because no hospital wants anybody to die in their hospital.
No.
Okay, but he would take those people and save them more and more and more, one at a time.
Here's what you wrote about him. In 1969, Dr. Bird developed the first effective respirator for very small premature babies. It's called the Baby Bird. Before this invention, over 70% of premature babies with major heart and lung problems died. The Baby Bird reduced this death rate to below 10% in 2 years. That is what an incredible life and legacy sounds like. James Ferguson. Never heard of this man, did you? You never heard of a lot of these people, which really I would like to correct, because these men and women are more important than any other people in the entire world.
That's
bar
so
none.
true. They change history. They make a difference.
Here we go. James Ferguson. Display devices utilizing liquid crystal light modulation. In other words, the liquid crystal display, or LCD. Figure this out. Your computer screen, medical devices, industrial devices, consumer electronics. Come on. This man, James Ferguson. Helen M. Free, another lady in your book.
Yes.
I love the quote. Don't ever let anyone tell you you can't do something because you're a girl. She is a chemist. Glucose detection device for diabetics. She invented it. Are you a diabetic? Thank your life today to Helen Free. She invented the little thing that you are allowed to test your glucose with in your blood.
Yes.
Dr. James Hillier. Hey, have you ever heard of an electron microscope that can see those little tiny things that we can't see, that can save lives because it detects bugs and bacteria and all these wonderful things we call life? Dr. Hillier invented the electron microscope. Hello? We never heard of him. We do now. Dr. Ted Hoff. Again, all these people are members of the Inventors Hall of Fame.
National Inventors Hall of Fame.
Never knew there was such a thing. They have a bad PR department. I'd like to correct that. Listen to this one. Dr. Ted Hoff, do you know what he invented? Do you own a computer? Do you own a little phone, an Android or an iPad? Do you own anything like that? Do you know what he invented? The multi-chip digital computer. The CPU, the brains of every computer in the universe. He started doing it for a calculator. The microprocessor, it's called. It's one of the most important developments of the 20th century. We don't know about these people. Bill Lear, whom Pam just talked about. He invented the car radio. Hello? I mean, I didn't know any of this. How did I get out of school not knowing this stuff? Or how do I watch television without knowing this stuff? He invented the first automobile radio, the first 4-track small stereo. By the way, he also invented the Lear jet, the first business jet in the world. Edward Lowe, this is a good one. You have a kitty. Kitty. Pam and Forrest have a cat named Rutan. You can thank Edward Lowe for
Cat litter.
Kitty litter.
And people kind of laugh at cat litter, but cat litter is a $3 billion company. And what amazes me is, what did it take these individual inventors to bring a product to market, to start an industry, the jobs that they create?